On November 10th, Raft protocol fell victim to an exploit causing its stablecoin R to be totally depegged and total loss of $7 million. The hacker leveraged the fact that the protocol didn't use arbitrary balance to track ERC20 balances of the users and index, and the fact that the shares were rounded up, which put together led to this exploit. Let's dive in and see how it was done. The attack started a while back by creating a small position which was then liquidated in this transaction. But let's start from the beginning. So the attack started with flash loaning 6,000 of CBETH, which was then transferred directly to the position manager contract. Well, at this point, the attacker actually is losing money, and quite a lot of money. So why did he do that? The thing is that in the next step, he is liquidating the position that he created before. And in order to see what was the real consequence of that, let's deep inside into liquidate function. As you can see in the liquidate function down there, we are updating depth and collateral index. And you can see in this function that we are setting the index of collateral token to ERC20 balance of address this. In the previous step, right before, the attacker actually transferred, so that means that this index is set way above. You can see here in set index, because the backing amount now is really huge, like the attacker put 6,000 ETH here. This is actually being divided by supply. This results in stored index being really high. That means that now you have to put a lot of amount to gain one share. So the attacker leveraged this fact later in one of his child contracts, which he delegated to, by managing the positions and changing collateral by 1. Normally, because the index was already really high, this would give him 0 shares. However, there's the catch. The catch is in function div up, which was called here in mint. So if you manage position and you are adding collateral, what you are ending up with is you are being minted as shares of your token. And in the mint function, the amount is being divided up by stored index. Like stored index is really huge right now, but let's see how the div up function looks like. Okay, our A is 1, our B, which is the index, is really huge. So this is not 0, so we are going here inside of this logic part. Okay, and A, which is 1 by 1, which is, I guess, 1 with 18 decimals, minus 1 divided by B. So this, in this case, is guaranteed to result 0. However, because this is div up, user gets 1 share. So he should get absolutely 0, nothing here in this case. However, because of this div up, he gained 1 share. And you can see here that this actually was repeated on and on and on. It was actually repeated around 60 times. And here you can see that he borrows 6.7 million worth of R tokens. And here you have another delegate call in which the attacker swaps the funds in Balancer and swaps them in Uniswap v3. And the story would actually end here, but the attacker made a really grave mistake. If you remember before, he called it all those swaps by delegate call. And by using delegate call, you were using your calling contract storage slot. And he used the address of contract to receive the funds from the parent contract, and the storage slot was not set there. So it defaulted to 0. So actually, he sent all this money to the 0 address. Which means that even if he, for whatever reason, decided that he wants to return the money back to the Raft protocol, he cannot, because the money is effectively burned. So I don't know what your thought about that, but this is strange. Like, the attacker is smart enough to do this like really complex attack, but not so smart to actually being able to get the money from the attack. That means that not only devs are making mistakes in their contracts, but the hackers are doing them too. Oh, and as a side note, the attacker actually like lost everything from this attack, and given that he had to put $16,000 upfront and he only get back $12,000 after this attack, means that he actually lost $4,000 on this attack. This is just plain crazy. So what could be done differently to prevent the attack in the first place? First of all, do not use ERC20 balance off as, you know, any kind of counting of amounts to shares. Always introduce some virtual balance that you are actually tracking, because this totally makes such an attack unprofitable. Because even if you send the ERC20 directly to the contract, it is not recorded anywhere, because the contract keeps its own balance that is only updated if you really use the ERC20 through their contract and they have like total control over how much money they have. Secondly, every time that you are minting shares to users, you want to slightly underpay them. So not that, you know, that you don't care about your users, but the thing is that even the smallest advantage, as here, like 1 share, can be inflated, you know, can be run inside a loop. And maybe someone finds some other way that he can multiply this 1 additional share and, you know, steal all funds from your contract. So as a rule of thumb, your users should get slightly less, and I do not mean that you should steal from them or anything. You should always div down when giving to users. Okay, that's all for today. I hope you liked it, and I'd like to hear your opinions. What do you think about this attack? How would you prevent this attack? What we as a space have to do for those kind of attacks to never happen again. Okay, until next time, stay vigilant and happy hustling.